Hi again. Chapter 19 of William Schnell, 30 Years of Watchtower Slave. Establishing a worldwide theocracy, he starts. No escape. On December 1, 1941, with my zone assignment honorably terminated, I was free. Or was I? I thought I could escape by requesting an assignment in Florida. Subconsciously, I knew that I would have a very hard time living amidst these people, many of whom I had ill-used. But I was to learn that you cannot always do wrong unto others, or be unkind to them, and not expect to pay for such acts. In Germany, in 1927, when I could no longer take it, I was able to escape by coming to America. The chances to get away from this monster, which had enslaved me so young in life, had then been mine, but I had muffed it. I allowed myself in my mature years to be drawn into its vortex, that is, the Watchtower in America vortex, once again. This time I could not plead extreme youth, as you noticed that I did in the first chapter of my story. This time I walked into it with my eyes wide open. There is no doubt in my mind that it was the Lord's will that I pay for my attitude and misdeeds, and this ordeal was the means which God used to awaken me and drive me to take the proper steps, which alone could lead me to freedom. Thus my request to be assigned in Florida was denied. Instead, I was assigned to become a part of the very Youngstown Company which I had decimated and which had risen up in opposition during the Struthers arrests. I was to be a special publisher in nearby Campbell, which belonged to Youngstown, strengthening the group there to become a company. My assignment as zone servant having come to an end, I had the status of pioneer under the full direction of the Adams Street office, wherein the new clique now reigned supreme. In pinning me down in Youngstown, they were going to give me the choice of taking a back seat and buckling down or get out. They knew that they could now count on the full backing of Youngstown because their stooges there had been prepared for that very thing. Not a very pleasant prospect for me. Then he has the subhead, a losing battle. So I started out to pioneer again, and before my opponents in Youngstown could act, I stole a march on them. I visited all Jehovah's Witnesses in Campbell and sold them on the idea of forming a company, and without delay effected its organization. The society and Youngstown were not a bit pleased, but there was nothing they could do about it, as I was acting according to my written instructions. In thus escaping the direct jurisdiction of the Youngstown Company, I thought I would be able to hold them at bay, or arm's length, so as to speak. And now began to build the Campbell Company. And in case you don't know, that's the old word for local congregation, right? But it became almost impossible for me to do any good. Youngstown, working under cover, saw to that. They were determined to prevent the emergence of a truly independent company in Campbell. They continued to make back calls in Campbell and used this opportunity to work against me. They visited book studies and asked the publishers to come to Youngstown. Most of these publishers were of foreign extraction, since Campbell itself is almost all Slovak, and they were afraid. The Youngstown group played on that fear to my disadvantage. Thus I never really got the cooperation of the publishers in Campbell. While I placed many books there, I had to make money in other ways to pay my expenses. Besides, I did not succeed in getting many new publishers into the field. It appeared that I had been played to a stalemate. In the meanwhile, World War II had begun, and I also became the object of other forces outside the organization. Complaints were launched against me with the FBI. It seems that I was accused of being an American, possibly because I had lived long years in Germany, and as a chronic troublemaker. Thus I was under surveillance by both the FBI and the Youngstown Company employed by the Watchtower Society. I was now getting it from both sides. Those were trying times for me. The stress and strain became so great that I was eventually to suffer a breakdown. Next time the clean organization reorganizes. I'll put in a link to the Gods of Egypt, because it's quite a study when you think about the way that the Watchtower study teaches about Jehovah, to compare their notion of Jehovah with the gods of Egypt, the gods of paganism. See you next time.